I started April 1st. We flew out April 17ish, something around then. By then, I was already down 14 pounds. So we're loaded with carbs, lots of pasta, lots of sauce, lots of treats. My nonna, my grandmother, was a really good baker, so grew up indulging myself in those types of items. I was pretty active in my 20s. I was into sports. I was playing hockey three times a week. So, what I was eating, I was essentially burning off. But once I got married and started to have kids, the sports kind of stopped, and I still kept eating as normal. I'm sorry, you can hear that's one of the kids in the background. So I just kept eating as normal, and then the other thing that really hurt as well was I am a father of 6. So there was 6 pregnancies, and you want to be the supportive husband and go run out to McDonald's and do those late night drive-through orders. And so you get stuff as well, and that's what ended up packing on the pounds for me. So it would have been about 2000, 2 years ago. So this 2019. It was March break. My wife's aunt was actually doing an event, fundraising event, an ice skating event. So it was the first time I pretty much laced up my skates in a good maybe 7 years. And it really hit me as I was putting my skates on. I really put on a lot of weight, and I need to start working on it. I was out of breath tying my own skates. So I knew I had to make a change. I was looking around at different types of diets, and one of the things that attracted me to keto was the foods that you can eat. So one of the I'm a big meat person, so when I started looking at, you can have bacon, you can have eggs, the bread. I know you like bacon. Bread, all the other items, I'm like, I can kind of do without. The pop, I knew I can do without because in the past for Lent, I've given it up. So I was going to start it. We were coming up on our 10-year wedding anniversary. We were going to go to Vegas, and I was planning to start it after the vacation. And as I was mentioning it to one of my coworkers at work, she basically said, well, why wait? So I started April 1st. So we went on our honeymoon in Vegas, and I stuck with it. And once I survived that, I knew I was going to be able to stick with it. And I think the other big thing that really helped with keto too was the results are pretty quick. So I started April 1st. We flew out April 17ish, something around then. By then, I was already down 14 pounds. So I knew it was working. I ended up, so my starting weight was 188 pounds. I'm a shorter guy. I got as low as 132.
Wow.
And now, I was talking to my one of my good friends he's actually a strong man, and we were giving stories of diets, and I told him I think I can get to 125, and he kind of put his hands up and said, why do you need that? You're not a UFC fighter. You don't need to get that low. And that kind of clicked in me. Then I realized, hey, I'm in my maintenance stage, and I could start working, introducing a little bit more carbs in.
Sure.
The big one was just introducing more strength training in. And once I did that, I kind of saw, the weight kind of went up a little bit, but I saw the body change as well. So I still, suit-wise, I know I had bought a suit right before I started losing the weight. So I was a 44. Now I'm down to a 38.
Wow.
So even now that I put on weight, I'm still a 30 waist size.
Sure.
Be a little bit smaller, but I feel good, and I think that's the other key one is just feeling good. You feel much better. I had some health, nothing serious prior with my digestion, but after I started keto, I don't have that issue anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds a lot like my story, actually. Like, I'm a fellow Canadian, so I grew up playing hockey too, and lots of different sports, and it was the same thing. You can eat one way while you're playing all those sports and being active, but as soon as that stops, if you just keep going the same way, it just year after year, decade after decade, it just keeps piling on. And that was the same thing with me too. When I started keto, it was really quick, same thing. And I just do it for the way I feel now. Like, I don't even weigh myself for anything. It's just, I feel so much better now. So,
yeah. And then just
so go ahead.
Like, we follow each other on Twitter, and I see your meals, and I get jealous of your barbecuing skills. You go out there all year, and things like that. And I think that's one of the great things with Instagram is the community is very, very supportive.
It is, yeah.
We share a lot of recipes on there, and right now, from when I started till now, almost 2 years later, the amount of products that are available jumped like crazy, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, it is kind of sad that even now here in Canada, there like a lot of the stuff you see reviews on, we still can't get it. But it's getting better, and at the end of the day, I've learned in the last 6 months or so, a lot of that stuff I just can't have anyway, because I would just wind up having too much of it. So
yeah. What's your one guilty item?
Nut butter for sure.
Nut butter, yeah.
Peanut butter, anything like that. Yeah.
So I try to keep that away from the house, because I've noticed if it's in the house. Yeah. Same here. It's one of those things where I can't have it in the house, or if it's in the house, I'm going to eat it. Doesn't matter. So. And the weird thing is, I have the kids. I make them Nutella. They have their I don't restrict them to what they're having, and I'm fine with. Like, I'm making them a Nutella sandwich. I might get some chocolate in my hand.
Sure.
I don't lick it off. I clean it off. I'm fine with that. But
sure.
For some reason, if I'm making them a peanut butter sandwich, that's a different story.
Yeah. No, my wife isn't keto as well. So it's a little bit tricky sometimes, but at the end of the day, we just eat the same protein, and then she has what she has, and I don't have it. So what would you think is one of the biggest drawbacks, or why people don't want to go keto? Like, do you think it's restriction, or? Yeah,
I think it's people look at it as what you can't have.
Yeah.
Looking at it as what you can have and what you can substitute with. And I think that was a key mindset for me. Italian, I love my pizza.
Yeah, that must have been tough. Yeah.
One of the first things I learned was how to make the fathead dough. And, I probably eat more pizza now than I did before. And even you also enjoy cooking more, I find, as well. I prefer to make my own dough, because I know exactly what's in it, as opposed to ordering the places that are out there. I know they've come a long way.
Yeah.
As well, I remember the first time I tried the cauliflower crust. I thought it was healthy at Pizza.
Yeah.
I looked at the calorie count. I'm like, oh, it should be okay. And then that night, when I actually logged in my the carbs and I saw the count, I had a little bit of a freak out.
Yeah.
And I went over 100 carbs in a long time. So I think that's the other piece of advice to anyone who is starting is check the nutritional labels.
Yeah.
treat them like a hawk.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's meant a world of difference. Like right now, if you told last year, I was jogging in the morning and I was getting, I was waking. The other crazy thing was it's helped me with my sleep. So
Mm-hmm.
getting to bed earlier and waking up earlier. Like when the sun comes in, I'm up.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, I was about 6:30, the sunlight coming through the window. 6:45, I was outside doing a jog.
Mm-hmm.
And I got as high as 10K. And I remember saying to myself, I mean, if you told me at this age I'll be waking up this early and doing a thing, at 18 I would have laughed at you. At 20 I would have laughed at you. At 30 I would have laughed at you.
Right.
But it has nothing to do with it. It's more to do with the diet is just making you feel all around better. Mindset. I know a lot of people say the clarity as well.
Mm-hmm.
I find that's there as well.
Oh yeah, for sure. I found the same thing. The sleep's a lot better, and I definitely get up a lot earlier than I ever did before, because you're just awake when you get up. It's not like I still drink coffee more than I should, but it's a lot easier to get up for sure.
The good
Sorry.
with keto is you can drink as much coffee as you want, and then you realize what actually is good coffee.
Yeah, this is true.
The extras that are there. Like I was a double drinker. That stopped. I'm black now, and I think I drink more now than I ever did. But
yeah, it's odd. I didn't drink coffee at all before I started keto. It was only after I started that I started drinking coffee again. I don't know why. Just one of those things, I guess. When you started, did you have much trouble with keto flu, or were you able to get past that fairly quick? Because you were saying you were away when you started. That might have been a little bit tough if you ran into the keto flu when you're in a strange place.
Yeah, so I didn't have it too bad. I remember I did have the headaches.
Mm-hmm.
But that went away pretty quickly. In the last almost 2 years, I've gone on and off ketosis. So
right.
I think now my body's kind of adapted to it, so it's not as bad. But that first time, and I remember Christmas of 2019, I had a really good headache for a few days. But part of that too is I always had migraines around weather, so I don't know if it's more I fell out or it was just the weather change. But
sure,
in that, the headache, stomach wise, pretty good. Think of any other one? The one that I will say that I feel every day, and it drives me nuts, is the dry mouth. I'm constantly drinking water.
Yeah.
And I have drawers of gum everywhere I go.
Oh yeah.
One problem is like I'm in meetings. I'm on these Zoom calls. At least with Zoom, it's a little bit easier. You can turn your camera off and step away. But when I was actually in conference meetings, I'd be sitting there cross-legged.
Yeah.
I've drank so much water throughout the day.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, I find the same thing. Like I've always got my bottle full of something like water or electrolytes or whatever all through the day. And it's the same thing. I'm a service technician, so there is drawbacks to drinking too much water. That's for sure.
I've been driving from downtown Toronto to Mississauga now, so.
Oh yeah.
I found the little hideouts where I can pull over in case.
Sure. Yeah. I travel from London, Ontario, anywhere between Windsor and Oshawa for work. So it's sometimes I'm on the road a lot during the day, but it is what it is. Do you do any fasting at all, or just naturally, or?
When I first started, I was doing 3 meals. I was making sure I was having that breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
I guess about 6 months in is when I introduced intermediate fasting. So I basically cut myself off at 8 o'clock, and then I won't eat till noon next day. I have tried doing the one meal a day as well. It's possible. I just found what used to happen was I would just overcompensate that one meal.
Yeah.
It allows you to, if you're really counting, you really want to be under the net 20, it allows you to do that, to get that one meal, to get all your 20 carbs. But I find I need something in between there.
Yeah. I was the same way. Most of last year, I tried mostly one meal a day. And then starting this year, I went back to 2 meals a day, and I feel so much better. Instead of trying to cram all that into one meal or even into a short window, it was just too much. I didn't sleep as well because you're trying to digest too much food too close to bed. And so, so you mentioned you're still doing a lot of exercise, or?
Well, I would like to say a lot of exercise. Most of the time in the summer, now that the weather's getting a little bit better, I like to get a morning run in. But pretty much most of this, I would say since August on of last year, because you can hear the baby in the background. She's getting up early. So most of August, I was getting up and walking with her. It's a walk. It's not as you get your steps in, but it's not as cardio as
right.
I like. So I try to get my 10,000 steps in throughout the day.
Sure.
I try to get crunches in the morning and push-ups, and I do some squats. No, I don't have any equipment. No gym. It's just that.
Just body weight stuff.
And she's up early. She's 2 months, so she's usually up around 6:30. And it's me and her in the morning, and she kind of crawls on top of me and sits on my belly while we do sit-ups. Yeah.
Well, it's better than nothing, right?
Yeah.
So
I know a lot of people have these nice outdoor workouts and sets. I see on Instagram. I'm just jealous that they have nice weather all year around. They're able to do it.
Yeah, that's for sure. So one question that comes up, and it's usually a heated discussion, is whether you count calories or you just eat like intuitive eating, or you actually count all your macros and calories every day, or?
So I log everything. Originally I was using Fitbit, and then I moved on to Carb Manager. So I do log everything. I'm more looking at the net carbs. Certain days that you're going way over on the calorie count. I find anytime that I decide to have chicken wings, that will knock you out real quick for calories. But carb wise, you're very low. But I also do find that if I do have a heavy day like that, the next day you're just naturally you're eating less throughout the day.
Sure. Yeah, I agree. It's as long as you're watching your carbs, and like I said, my treat meals are those 2 pounds of chicken wings. I'd rather just overeat calories than just eat a bunch of junk food, personally. So these days, what's a day of eating look like for you? Like, is it mostly meat, or?
Sorry, I missed that.
Is it mostly meat, or?
Yeah, so I do a lot of protein, but I do find that since I started keto, I eat a lot more. I eat a lot more carbs, greens than before.
Right.
So I typically, most of my lunches are. My typical lunches are, I go get a big pack of either baby arugula, baby spinach, or spring mix. I'll load a big Tupperware of that, and then my protein will either be the chicken. I'll throw some chicken with bacon in there, and ranch. Or my go-to this last little bit, because the tuna was on sale, was the big Costco tuna there, and I mixed that with it's a jarred I don't know what you would call it. It's called muffaletta, and it's like chopped up cauliflower, chopped up olives.
Sure.
And I keep that in the fridge at work with my can of tuna and oil. Pour that in, and that's been my go-to kind of lunch meal. About 3 o'clock, I will have either one of those keto bars, either a no sugar bar or I like the Quest stuff as well, as kind of like my treat with that afternoon espresso.
Sure.
And then dinner, when I get home, it is usually a good protein, whether it's a steak or pork, something like that, with some more vegetables. Usually, I like to stick with the green. Loaded broccoli is another good one I like.
Right.
Cauliflower. I roast cauliflower rice every so often. Lazy to actually boil it and shred it. If I have packages, that's my go-to.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, and that's like to me that sounds like, I don't know how people can complain about or say that it's too restrictive of a diet. Like, it sounds just like just eating real food, right? So
I think that the other key one that I found was like when you're going to a restaurant. Like now you can't go anywhere.
Right.
When I first started with restaurants, I was always, I remember like in the group setting where people would put in their orders in, and they would say, I would have no this, extra this, and it would come to me and I'm like, just give it to me how it is. I'm easy.
Yeah.
Now I know enough to ask. Give me the croutons, but give me extra avocado and give me these other substitutes. So
sure.
The staff is used to making the accommodations. It's not it's not like you're offending your grandmother. Have it as the way you want it, and even like fast food places now. I remember the first time I asked for a lettuce wrap, we got $12, and now it's sure. There you go.
Yeah. No, they're certainly getting used to it at the restaurants. Okay, well, I won't take up too much of your time here. So it sounds to me like keto is pretty much just the way you're gonna continue to live your life. And
I've had family ask me and say, "Is this it? Is this what you're gonna eat the rest of the way?" And or when are you gonna stop? I don't see myself stopping. I don't know if you feel the same way. Like, I'm not tempted to say, hey, I'm going to go have this big piece of cheesecake or something like that, because I know I can make my own substitute for it.
Yeah, no, I get the same questions all the time too. And all I have to do is just remember back to how crappy I felt before I started this. And, people can eat whatever they want around me. Doesn't bother me. I just remember that I'm going to wake up tomorrow and I'm still going to feel good. And like I say, if I feel like overindulging, then I'll just get an extra pound of wings and just have at it, basically. So, well, this has been good. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about that you think people should know, or when they're starting or continuing, or?
I think the big thing for everybody, I mean, you can hear all the kids in the background. I have a busy household. It's manageable. You can do it. It's a mindset.
Sure.
I mean, people have told me I look younger now than I did 10 years ago. So I don't know if it's just because the weight's come down or the other thing, the benefits. People are saying that it does reverse aging as well. I wouldn't go that far, but I think the biggest advice that I can give everyone is, even if you don't want to go the full keto, just not so much the carbs, but cut the sugar. When you start looking at labels, then you start realizing something like white bread, which you grew up thinking was healthy, it's loaded with sugar. And these little substitutions like that, you'll start to find that you're feeling better, and the weight will start falling off on its own. And then you kind of, as you go along in your journey, not everybody's going to start tomorrow and decide to go full carnivore.
Right.
Work your way in it, and don't compare yourself to others. You got your own story, your own background, and as long as you're feeling better than you were the day before, that's the way to treat it.
Yeah. No, I think that's great advice. Okay, well, I'll let you get back. Sounds like it's kind of hectic around there. I'll link out to your Instagram page in the comments, because you've got lots of good posts on your page as well. And like you were saying, the keto community in Instagram it's pretty big, and it's getting bigger every day. And for the most part, it's pretty supportive. There are some issues with it, but that's to be expected, right? At least it's not Twitter. So, okay. Well, this has been a great talk.